Chosen one, I need you to stop absolutely everything you are doing right now. I don't care if you are tired. I don't care if you think you have heard it all. What I am about to reveal to you requires every ounce of your attention, because this is not a casual message. This is a confrontation. A confrontation with the truth of what you really are after everything you have been through, because something changed in you. Something that not even you have finished understanding. Something that the people around you have begun to notice even though they cannot explain it. Something that even spiritual forces have detected, and they are responding in ways you are going to understand perfectly before this message ends. You didn't just survive what should have destroyed you. You came back from that with a power you didn't have before. And when I say that even God was terrified, I am not talking about fear as a human understands it. I am talking about that sacred astonishment that occurs in celestial dimensions when a soul demonstrates something that defies all projections that existed about it. You did that, and you didn't even realize exactly when it happened. Subscribe to this channel right now and activate all notifications, because what I am going to reveal to you about the transformation that occurred within you while you thought you were just suffering is going to permanently change how you understand every trial you faced and every dark night you crossed alone. Stay until the end, because I am going to show you exactly what kind of power awakened in you. Why does that power terrify darkness as much as it astonishes heaven? And what does this mean for absolutely everything that is coming into your life? Write 777 in the comments if you feel that something inside you changed irreversibly, as if you had crossed a threshold from which there is no return. Chapter 1. The destruction that wasn't destruction. I need to take you back to a period of your life that you would probably prefer to forget. A period where everything seemed to be falling apart at the same time, where the blows didn't come one by one, but in consecutive waves that didn't give you time to recover before the next impact. You know exactly what I am talking about. There was a moment, or perhaps several moments in a row, where you genuinely asked yourself how much more you could bear. Where the pressure was so intense that you could feel it physically in your body. Where exhaustion wasn't just mental or emotional, but something that penetrated to your bones. Losses you didn't expect. Betrayals from people you never imagined would fail you. Doors that closed without explanation. Opportunities that evaporated just when they seemed certain. Loneliness in moments when you needed support the most. And the hardest thing of all, the feeling that God Himself had abandoned you. Because let's be honest, there were moments where you prayed and the heavens seemed like bronze, where you asked for answers and only received silence. Where you looked for signs and found nothing to indicate that all this had any purpose. I am going to tell you something that perhaps no one has explained to you correctly. That period was not an accident. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't divine punishment for something you did wrong. It was a forging process, and the difference between forging and destruction is something you can only understand after having gone through the fire. When a blacksmith wants to create a sword of true quality, he doesn't work with cold metal. He has to introduce that metal to extreme temperatures. He has to strike it repeatedly. He has to bend it. He has to subject it to pressures that would seem destructive to anyone who doesn't understand the process. But the blacksmith knows something the metal doesn't know while it is being struck. He knows that each strike is eliminating impurities. Each moment in the fire is reorganizing the molecular structure. Each bend is increasing resistance. What seems like destruction is actually refinement. You were subjected to that process, not because God wanted to see you suffer, not because the universe had something against you, but because what was destined to emerge from you required a purification that only extreme fire could achieve. Think about this carefully. Before that dark period, there were things in you that limited you, even though you didn't know it. Fears that kept you small, attachments to people or situations that blocked your true path. Beliefs about yourself that didn't correspond with your true potential. Comforts that kept you stagnant. The fire burned all of that. Not in a gentle way, not in a comfortable way, but effectively. And what remained after everything that could be burned was burned is exactly what you are now. Something that cannot be destroyed because it already went through destruction and survived. Chapter 2. What was being forged while you thought you were dying, while you were going through that dark season, while each day seemed harder than the previous one. Something was happening inside you that completely escaped your conscious perception. Your soul was being rebuilt, not repaired, not patched. Rebuilt from the foundations with completely different materials. Let me explain how this works in terms you can understand. When a building has deep structural problems, it is not enough to paint the walls or change the furniture. Sometimes the only solution is to demolish down to the foundations and build again with a completely different architecture. That is what was happening with you. Your old structure, your old way of processing life, your old identity had built-in limitations that would have prevented what you are destined to manifest. No matter how much effort you put in, that old structure simply couldn't support the weight of your true purpose. Then came the demolition. And while you experienced that as loss, as pain, as apparent senseless destruction, celestial architects were working on the blueprints for something completely new. Each tear you shed was dissolving old foundations that needed to disappear. Each sleepless night was reconfiguring mental patterns that kept you trapped in lesser versions of yourself. Each betrayal was cutting ties with people who would have been obstacles at your next level. Each closed door was redirecting your energy toward directions that your conscious mind couldn't see, but your soul knew perfectly. I am not romanticizing your pain. I am not saying it was easy or that it should have been like that. I am explaining to you what was really happening, so you can finally make sense of what seemed to have none. Because here is the truth that few understand about the chosen ones. The level of fire to which you are subjected is directly proportional to the level of power you are destined to carry. Think about the most transformative figures in spiritual history. Job lost absolutely everything. His possessions, his children, his health, the respect of his community, even his wife told him to curse God and die. He went through a devastation so complete that he became synonymous with extreme suffering. But Job wasn't destroyed by that. Job was forged by that. And what emerged afterward was someone who received double of everything he had lost, plus something much more valuable. An understanding of God that only comes through having traversed the depths. Joseph was sold as a slave by his own brothers. He was falsely accused and imprisoned for years. He was forgotten by people who promised to help him. Each time it seemed his situation would improve, something made it even worse. But Joseph wasn't destroyed by that. Joseph was positioned by that. And what emerged afterward was someone with the authority to save entire nations, including the very brothers who betrayed him. David was hunted like an animal for years. He had to hide in caves. He was betrayed repeatedly. He lived as a fugitive when he had a promise of kingdom over his life. The distance between his reality and his promise seemed impossible to cross. But David wasn't destroyed by that. David was prepared by that. And what emerged afterward was someone called a man after God's own heart. Do you see the pattern? The fire wasn't random. The destruction wasn't purposeless. It was calibrated precisely to forge what was needed. And you are part of that same pattern. Chapter 3, the power that terrifies. Let's talk about what emerged from you after the fire. Because it is not what you think. It is not just that you became stronger. It is not just that you developed resilience. It is something much deeper and more significant. You developed access to frequencies of existence that aren't available to those who haven't gone through what you went through. Let me explain this in practical terms. Before the fire, there were dimensions of reality you couldn't perceive, spiritual dynamics you couldn't detect, patterns you couldn't recognize, truths you couldn't access. Not because you were incapable, but because your system wasn't calibrated to those frequencies. It is like a radio that can only tune into certain stations because that is how it was built. But the fire recalibrated you. It literally changed your internal wiring, and now you can perceive things that previously were invisible to you. You can feel spiritual atmospheres before they manifest physically. You can recognize patterns of destiny that others cannot see. You can detect truth and deception with an accuracy that borders on supernatural. You can navigate spiritual warfare with a wisdom that wasn't available before. This is not ego. This is not thinking you are better than others. This is understanding what actually happened during your transformation and why this power terrifies certain forces, because a transformed soul that maintained its integrity through the fire. A heart that went through hell and came out without bitterness. A spirit that was crushed but not broken. That is something extremely dangerous to darkness, because it cannot be manipulated the same way. It cannot be deceived with the same lies. It cannot be controlled with the same fears. The old tactics don't work on someone who already survived what should have destroyed them. Think about what this means. Someone who lost everything and learned they could rebuild. Someone who was betrayed and learned they didn't need those who betrayed them. Someone who walked through darkness and learned to generate their own light. That is not someone who can be easily threatened. That is not someone who can be bought with promises of comfort. That is not someone who will compromise their truth for acceptance. And that terrifies the forces that depend on keeping people small and controlled. Chapter 4. The recognition that changes everything. I need you to understand something fundamental about your current position. What you are now is not what you were before. And this isn't just poetic language or motivational talk. This is literal spiritual reality. In celestial dimensions, there are classifications, categories of souls according to their development level and demonstrated capacity before the fire. You were in one classification. After the fire, you were reclassified. This happened automatically, not because someone decided to reward you, not because you earned points for suffering, but because your transformation was so complete that it literally changed your spiritual DNA. It is like someone who goes from being a student to being a doctor. It is not just a title change. It is a fundamental transformation in capacity and authority. And just as a doctor has access to areas and information that a student doesn't, your new classification gives you access to dimensions of reality that weren't available before. But here is what most don't understand. With new classification comes new visibility. You are on radars now that you weren't on before. Both heaven and hell are watching you differently. Heaven because it is preparing assignments that match your new capacity. Hell because it recognizes a threat it needs to neutralize. This explains a lot of what you have probably been experiencing lately. Strange resistance in areas that used to be simple. Intensified spiritual attacks when you are on the verge of breakthrough. Unusual levels of opposition to things that should be straightforward. It is not random. It is a response to what you became. And you need to understand this to navigate what is coming correctly, because the battles you are facing now are not the same battles you faced before. They require different strategies, different levels of discernment, different types of spiritual weapons. But you have access to all of that now. That is what the fire gave you. Chapter 5. The divine terror you generated. When I say that even God was terrified, I need to clarify what this really means. In Hebrew, the original language of much of sacred scripture, there is a word, yirah. It is often translated as fear, but it doesn't mean fear as we understand it in human terms. It means reverent awe, sacred astonishment. That feeling that arises when encountering something so magnificent, it exceeds all categories of normal understanding. That is what happened in celestial dimensions when you emerged from the fire. Not because God didn't know what you were capable of, but because seeing potential manifest into reality always creates a sacred moment. Even for the divine, it is like a father who knows his child is talented, but still feels overwhelming emotion when he sees that child perform on stage for the first time. The knowledge doesn't diminish the impact of the reality. God knew what seed was planted in you. But seeing that seed survive the fire, watching it grow through impossible circumstances, witnessing it bloom despite all the reasons it shouldn't, that creates yirah, sacred astonishment. Divine terror in the sense of overwhelming magnitude. And here is what this means for you. When you generate that kind of response in celestial dimensions, when your transformation is so complete that even heaven pauses in astonishment, you have crossed a threshold from which there is no return. You are not just another believer anymore. You are not just another person trying to be spiritual. You have become evidence, living proof of what is possible when a soul refuses to be destroyed by what should destroy it. And that evidence carries a weight that affects reality around you differently than before. Chapter 6. The responsibility of the transformed. With this power comes something most people don't talk about. Responsibility, not in the sense of burden or obligation that drains you, but in the sense of sacred stewardship of what was forged in you. You cannot use this power casually. You cannot deploy it carelessly. You cannot waste it on petty things because it was purchased at a cost too high to be squandered. Every tear you cried during the fire, every night you survived that you didn't think you would, every betrayal you endured without becoming bitter, every loss you absorbed without losing yourself. All of that has value, immense value. And what emerged from all of that must be handled with corresponding care. This doesn't mean you cannot make mistakes. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means you need to be conscious, intentional, deliberate with how you deploy what you became. Some will try to manipulate you using this responsibility. They will try to make you feel guilty for having boundaries. They will try to make you feel selfish for protecting your energy. They will try to make you feel obligated to everyone who asks anything of you. Don't fall for this. Sacred responsibility is not the same as being everyone's savior. Stewardship doesn't mean availability to all demands. Wisdom knows the difference between a genuine call and manipulation disguised as need. You don't owe everyone access to what the fire created in you. You owe discernment about where and how that power is deployed. And sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is say no to what doesn't align with your true assignment. Chapter 7. The attacks that are coming. I need to prepare you for something. The opposition you are going to face now is different from anything you have faced before. Before the fire, attacks were designed to destroy you. Now that they know They cannot destroy you. The strategy changed. Now they are trying to distract you, divert you, keep you so busy with secondary things that you never deploy what you actually became. Watch for this pattern. Opportunities that seem good but feel wrong, relationships that seem promising but drain your energy, projects that seem important but lead nowhere, controversies that seem worth engaging but consume your focus. All designed to keep your power tied up in things that don't actually matter. The goal is simple. If they cannot destroy your power, at least they can prevent you from using it. If they keep you distracted enough, you will never manifest what you are capable of manifesting. Second tactic, isolation. They are going to try to convince you that nobody understands you, that you are alone in this, that your transformation has separated you from everyone else in ways that cannot be reconciled. And there is some truth to this. Your transformation did separate you from your old version, and from people who only related to that old version. But the deception is in making you believe that this separation means permanent loneliness. The truth is that your transformation is preparing you for connections of a completely different kind. People who are on similar frequencies, people who have also gone through their own fires, people with whom you can build something that would never have been possible with those you left behind. Third tactic, making you doubt your transformation. This is subtle but effective. They are going to try to convince you that nothing really changed, that you are still the same as always, that the changes you perceive are illusion or exaggeration. They will do this by bringing up memories of your past failures, amplifying your current mistakes to make them seem bigger than they are, using the voices of people who knew you before and cannot see who you are now. The goal is to make you operate from your old identity again, because if they achieve that, they neutralize the power you developed. Don't fall for this. The changes are real. The transformation happened. What you are now is fundamentally different from what you were before the fire. Chapter 8. What is coming? Now I need to talk to you about what is being prepared for your life, because your transformation was not an end in itself. It was preparation for something, and that something is closer than you think. There are doors that are about to open that you didn't even know existed, opportunities that are going to appear from unexpected directions, connections that are going to happen in ways you couldn't have orchestrated even if you tried, resources that are going to flow to you because you now have the internal structure to administer them correctly. But I need to be clear about something. This doesn't come as a reward for having suffered. This mentality that suffering deserves compensation is not exactly how the spiritual kingdom works. What is coming is a result of who you became through the process. It is like someone who developed muscles through intense training and can now lift weights that were previously impossible. The training was hard, but the resulting capacity isn't a consolation prize. It is the natural consequence of what was developed. Your capacity to receive and administer what is coming was developed through the fire. And now that capacity exists, the things that require that capacity can begin to flow to you. I don't know exactly what form this will take in your specific situation. For some, it is expanded influence. For others, it is abundant provision. For others, it is relationships of depth they had never experienced before. For others, it is clarity of purpose that finally allows energy to be focused. But something is coming, something significant, something directly connected to the person you became during the fire. Prepare yourself to receive it, not with anxiety, not with demand, but with the calm expectation of someone who knows the process worked and the results are inevitable. Chapter 9. The message that was recorded for you. When a soul goes through the type of transformation you went through, something is recorded in the celestial archives. Not in all cases, only in those where the response to the fire was extraordinary. Your case was one of those. And there is a message that was recorded specifically for you. Not for chosen ones in general. For you specifically at this moment of your journey. Let me share it with you. To you who went through the fire and emerged without poison in your heart. To you who had every right to become bitter but chose not to. To you who could have justified any darkness but maintained your light. What you did not go unnoticed. Every moment where you chose not to respond with the same energy you received was recorded. Every night where you could have cursed your situation, but instead sought to understand, it was observed. Every opportunity for resentment that you rejected was documented. And now that the fire did its work, now that the forging is complete, now that you emerged as something you weren't before, heaven responds, not with applause that feeds your ego, not with validation that makes you feel superior to others, with assignments. Because the purpose of forging was never just to make you stronger for your own benefit. It was to prepare you for specific burdens that require exactly the type of strength you developed. There are people you are going to meet who need exactly what you can now offer. There are situations you are going to face that require exactly the capacity you developed. There are purposes that are waiting for exactly the version of you that emerged from the fire, not as a heavy obligation. As a sacred privilege, because not just anyone can do what you can now do. Not just anyone went through what you went through. Not just anyone paid the price you paid to be where you are now. Walk forward knowing this. You are not the same. You cannot go back to being who you were before. And you wouldn't want to, even if you could. What you are now is exactly what is needed for what is coming. And what is coming is exactly what you were forged for. This is what it means that even God was terrified, not human fear, divine astonishment at a soul that proved capable of going through fire and emerging more luminous on the other side. That soul is you. And all of heaven is watching what you will do now. If this revelation resonated in the depths of your being, if you recognize that you went through a fire that transformed you in irreversible ways, and if you confirm that you are ready to operate from this new identity forged in the flames, write 777 in the comments to seal this truth in your consciousness. For those who want to delve deeper into how to consciously activate and use this power forged by fire, there is exclusive material in the description and pinned comment that costs less than a pizza and comes with a complete audiobook plus a 5-minute meditation guide as a special bonus. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to receive more revelations about your true identity and the power that was activated through everything you went through. Share this video with someone who is also going through their own fire and needs to know that what seems like destruction can be the most important forging process of their life. And before you go, click on the video that is appearing on your screen right now to discover exactly how your new spiritual classification activates specific assignments that are being prepared exclusively for someone with your level of demonstrated transformation. Together, we are stronger.